Hello again, and welcome to card number 5 in our Snowflake Wishes series, Glass in a Box for September. My name's Jenny McCormack. Thank you so much for joining me. So this card I've called a faux shaker card because it has a window sheet in it, which you can see there from this panel, and it looks like there's snowflakes behind, but in fact it's a single layer card. There's nothing to stop you making this into a shaker card, and that's one of the cards that I will make on Saturday during our live class. But I'm going to do the faux version today. So what you will need for that is your panel, which I pre-cut for you. This is from the Snowflake dies. I'm using a base white card, but you can just use any other card that you have available. You'll need the window sheet, which is in your pack, which is here, like so. Now the width of the window sheet is not enough really to cover that panel. You could do, if you don't mind these not being behind the window. I don't know if you would actually be able to see that or not in real life. So we are going to cut this panel this way, okay, and I'll give you dimensions for that. You'll need a piece of designer paper to go behind this panel, so you could choose any of the papers. You could leave it plain and just stamp behind it. So I could introduce this one if I wanted to. Entirely up to you, however busy or not you want to make that layer. And then you'll need a few snowflakes to decorate on the front. Now I chose the Night of Navy here, and so I've heat embossed in white embossing powder the Snowflake Wishes. But if you want to do a simpler version, then you can just stamp onto this panel. Now you may find that this panel is not exactly centered straight, and that's because I die cut them all effectively one at a time going through, and sometimes I didn't have it exactly correct. So what you can do if you want to is just correct this panel slightly by cutting it down just a little bit to make these panels level. This is very slightly out, but not enough for me to worry about it. So the first thing I recommend you do is do the stamping on your panel. It does have stitching, so this is definitely the front, okay, as opposed to the back. If you stamp on this panel and it doesn't work out, then you could use a strip of card and add that to the panel afterwards. And if you wanted to heat emboss this, of course you could. I'm just using Night of Navy, mainly as it's to hand, and you could centralize it. Okay, I'm going to put this over to the right, because if I centralize it you can see a bit more of how that. I wonder if it would also work this way. Okay, let's try it this way. Let's see what that looks like. Something completely different. Okay, why not? Okay, so I'm going to pop the window sheet on. Let me cover this up first though. Now it's up to you how tight you want the window sheet to this layer. So you could literally have it just covering that area, or if you wanted to, you could have it almost covering the whole thing. Bear in mind that you will need some of this panel for the final card. Okay, so you don't want to use any more than half of this. So the dimensions I calculated to fit it just behind was 11.5 centimeters by 7. So 11.5 by 7. So I'm just going to cut that up, and remember, don't handle your window sheet too much, okay, because you don't want too many sticky fingers on there. Oops. So this is 11.5 centimeters going across. Okay, and I'm going to put that back in my box. And then 7 centimeters wide. Now that will give you a little panel. Not that you can do a great deal with that, but you never know when you might need it. Okay, so this is going to sit behind here. Now you can omit this panel entirely if you want. Okay, I just thought it look quite nice, like you know, looking through a window, but you could make the whole thing without it. It would definitely work. So I'm going to cut this layer here, and the layer behind the designer paper will be 12 by 8. So I can do 8 across here. I'm going to do the lighter side. So this is from the piece I used on the last section. So 8 centimeters by 12, so just slightly bigger than the window sheet. So half a centimeter bigger, like so. Keep the little bits. Okay, so the way that this is going to be layered up is they've got the window sheet on there, and then that whole panel goes behind like that. Okay, now if we make this into a shaker card, which I will do live, then you attach the window sheet to that front panel. Then you would put your foam around the edges, and in fact this would be quite easy to do. Okay, and then pop your sequins in there and drop it down. Now the only reason I didn't do this as a shaker card is because we did a shaker card in the previous class. So if you know what you're doing and you want to create this as a shaker card, that's absolutely fine. So all I'm going to do is put this on here first. I'm putting it there so I can see exactly where that's going to go. And I think all I'm going to do is just run, because there's no nothing going sort of behind this, so it really doesn't matter. You know, it doesn't have to be, it's going to be sandwiched in. So just watch those little empty snowflakes there, like that. And then this is going to go on the backing. So you can decide, oh, I'm tall now. See, that one keeps it all in. Yes, that keeps it all in the same colour, doesn't it? Okay, so one of the options available here is to stamp extra snowflakes. So if you have the stamp set, that is one extra thing that you can do. If you don't have the stamp set, or you don't want to, you can just use the panel exactly as it is. Okay, I'm just going to stamp a couple of snowflakes and have a look and see. Just going to grab Coastal Cabana. That's the colour of the panel that I've got. And I decided to change the panel colour so that you didn't have to emboss anything if you didn't want to. It's coming out a bit wet, so I just want to move this colour across. This is I've obviously re-inked this one, so I'm moving that over to the side. Just wipe this down though. Okay, wipe my stamp off and dry it. Let me see if I get a better coverage. Yeah, that looks much better. The previous one looked really bubbly. So I'm just going to add a few snowflakes on here. Entirely up to you which snowflakes you use, which ink you use, or whether indeed you leave them out altogether. Yeah, it doesn't really show on that one, does it? let's have a look. Ooh. Yeah, that works. I'm happier with that than I thought I would be. Let's just pop some more little ones on this side, like so. I could introduce a different colour, I could add in Night of Navy if I wished. Okay, and if I wasn't happy with this, I could still use that side. That's the nice thing about designer paper, isn't it? Okay, so all that remains is for me to glue these two together and then attach them to the base card. So what I'm actually going to do is put some glue around the edge of here, because this is going to act as the glue that goes on the bottom as well. And put some glue on the edges like that, and that's going to hold my paper. So I've got almost sort of, well, quite a lot of glue, and the reason I'm doing that is I want to be able to pick out what bits of paper I want in here and which way around I want it. I'm going to do that. So you can see that's not centralized, but that doesn't matter. Add a bit of glue along the center of there, and I need a bit along this edge here, like so. And then that, in this case, is going to go on my white card, which isn't very straight again. No idea what I'm doing today. That's doing that. Better. Yes, that's much better. So this layer is going to go onto here. So I say all of the measurements are on the resources page in a file. My suggestion, if you have a printer that's not very straight, is to print them out and have them with you as you're crafting. So try that again. That's too much talking and not enough concentrating. There we go. And then optionally, that's a bit large on there, isn't it? You can add some flowers. Some snowflakes, and these can go over the edges. Okay, you can leave them out altogether. It's entirely up to you. So there is a little bit of a border here around where the die cut is, so you could cover that up. And this is a rogue snowflake because this is in Pretty Peacock. I think when I was designing originally I thought I would use Pretty Peacock, but I changed my mind in the end. So I might just do that. You could put one on the centre, or as I say, you could make it into a really pretty shaker card. I think I'm just going to do that. So I'm going to add these two, and you could use my method of sponging if you saw that before. Let's put a lid for my sponge. So here's my silicone mat, and you can see this is the glue from previously, and even this wet glue just peels off. Normally the wet glue is a nightmare to remove, but here it's quite therapeutic if you like that sort of thing, to peel it off. Or you can just pop it under the tap. Okay, and that's ready to go. So I really do recommend the silicone mat for gluing and also for your stamparatus. Right, I need to find the sponge I had in my hand with my clip on it. There it is. And add some glue to my mat. Now if you were cutting these out for yourself with the dies, then you could cut them out with our self-adhesive sheets on the back if you wished. Okay, so the good thing about doing it this way is that you don't get so much glue everywhere. These are nice light die cuts, so they'll stick really well anyway. There's one and two. Sort of roughly where I had them, wasn't it? And you could add some extra bling on there if you wanted to. Either the little gems would look quite nice, or the little snowflakes. Entirely up to you, depends on how many you've got left at this point. Let's pop one of these on each of those dies. There we go. So there is our faux shaker card. As I said, I will do a shaker card in the live on Saturday if you're watching this prior to Saturday the 26th of September. Thank you very much. I hope you like that card.